Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm a fellow of Realty Institute of Canada, broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage, and your host. Tonight we're going to talk about housing affordability in 2024. Before we think about how and when and how much it's going to cost to acquire a home and type of the home affordability, we have to see the changes, industry as well as regulatory changes that impacted our real estate industry that has a direct impact on acquisition and disposition of the property. First of all, for the real estate professional and the consumer, TRESA, Trust in Real Estate Services Act 2002 became effective on December 1st, 2023. It replaces REBA 2002. It brought lots of changes. It eliminated customer service. It only allows the brokerage representation or designated representation when you select as a consumer your own person, broker, licensed by RICO to represent you as a buyer and seller. In our last episode, I provided some clarification, general knowledge, but you can go to RICO, reco.on.ca as a buyer and seller. You can download and learn about that. The other major thing happen is that they allow self-representative party. That means either you are a client of a brokerage or designated representation, or you are a self-representative party. Major change. Then you have an issue of multiple representation. When you have a team, and if the client designate the team as your representative, designated representative, the entire team become under multiple representation. If the buyer and seller representation belongs to within that team. If it's a brokerage representation, if it's not designated a particular name, then it's entire brokerage. So, and then obviously there was a bidding issues, content of the offer. Now with this new law, the seller can direct to the listing agent, broker, to disclose certain content of the offer, except private information. So now you can see that is opening up more transparency. They also have changes to disciplinary action and some more power to discipline committee, because when there are serious contravention to the law. And obviously, most importantly now, RICO has come up with a RICO information guide in which you are able to you're able to now go to RICO website, especially realtors. From there, we can send RICO information guide to our prospect buyer or seller, and obviously you will get acknowledgement when they will download and read that email from RICO, and you get a confirmation. Anytime I have a client who may become a potential client, I send them through RICO. Then I personally send them, and obviously before I enter into an agency relationship, I explain this guide, and then we talk about relationship, and then you become a buyer or a seller, or you designated someone. So This was the major change that we see. We, especially realtors, have to go to have a mandatory introduction to TRESA. TRESA explained this is on the rico.or.ca. So if you are a licensed realtors, they are expected to do that before renewal of their new license. But I did it way ahead of time because I want to make sure that I am very up to date with that. So I decided to do my course, and it was fantastic, well put together by Rico. The So basically, your way of doing business have changed. It put more responsibility, transparency, accountability on these changes. Phase one and phase two. There will be phase three coming up about special designation program and more education. We will see that in the future. The biggest impact was inflation. If we can look at our history of our inflation, we had in June 2022 8.1% inflation. And because inflation so high, and to bring control uh, of the activity and calm down the industry, the Bank of Canada started raising the interest rate, a benchmark rate. So they did that. By doing this, lots of people who were in variable short-term mortgages, their renewals are coming, they got into trouble. And that's really impacted all our industry. Right now, as of today, the inflation is 3.1%. So that's a good news because it's being introduced now to a lower, is going toward the lower level. And in December 19, it was projected that it's going to be 3.1, and compared to 3.1, 3.8, and 3 and 4 in October, September, and August. So it went down and it came back again. So this has a very significant impact on the mortgage financing because Bank of Canada have to approve mortgages, and they were talking about how to control the whole industry. And this is why it's very important to check it out, to make sure that everything is being done according to the approval. So OSFI rule has a 2.2% stress test. So the benchmark is 5.25, or a contract rate that the bank can offer you. That interest rate has really impacted us because of inflation. And inflation was, and then Bank of Canada increased our benchmark rate, bank changed the rate as well, and renewals, variable mortgage, everybody got into trouble. And then obviously they can continue to maintain the stress test. And this is why, if you, let's assume you have a contract rate of 5.5% from the bank, and so that means your qualification is 7.2%. Even if it was a 2%, I think it's now 2.2. They added that because if you have variable mortgage in 21, you are paying about plus minus 1.5. I had a mortgage 1.69, and I could not afford that mortgage now because its variable is now 7.2. Therefore, it's very important to look into the reason why this interest rate has impacted you because of affordability. So interest rate has to do with affordability. because you are trying to do is to get the mortgage renewal. And we're going to talk about the sale that we have shared before. And I did a summary of all the sale that happened. July was the highest average price increase based on data available to us from Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. And obviously there are other boards like ITSO Data has other board, including Mississauga Real Estate Board. They're sometime we are a member of multiple boards, and we have uh, prices, membership for both ITSO and also the TRAB. Therefore, you may list the property on both locations. There could be some duplication of efforts, but idea again is there could be some shortage of. So average price or market wide that you see that we share with you is based on TRAP data. So now, what is the other fact? Is value of homes. We're going to talk about that. How? So I created a summary sheet if anybody wants individually to discuss their property. Remember that this data is based on Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, is available to all professionals to share as it is, as it is. We don't modify the data. This is information extracted from Market Watch from Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. They have the copyright. So we are just sharing that. So last year, TRAB reported in 2022, 75,049 transactions, all transactions, not specific to a particular house, okay? And the average price came out to be 1,189,736 based on 12 months in 2022. On the December of 2022, the average price was 1,050,569 as compared to December 2021, 22. Now, when we started 23, our average price was in January was 1,037,032. But in 22 January, the price was 1,242,407. So we were minus, average price was minus 16.5 in January. So if we look at January, February was minus 17.8 compared to 22 to 23. And in March, it was minus average price 14.7% as compared to March of 2022. So in April, we improved, and our average price was minus 7.8%. So that means we cut the losses and we start improving it as compared to each month, 22, 23. So since 22 is understood that these are the base and comparable to 22, so we're going to talk only 23. Now, on May, it became minus 1.2, down from 16.5 in January to minus 1.2. So it improved tremendously. And if you look at the June, compared to June, we were 3.1%. So we were improved 3.1%. Remember, this is an average price based on comparison to month, okay? The reason I'm telling you this because these are the things that's going to come us that how affordability going to affect you there. We're going to talk about that. Now in July, our sale improved as compared to July in 23 to 7.4% positive. And May was also 24.1% positive and 3.1% positive as compared to that is June. In July, was the highest in terms of price increase as compared to July, 4.1%. Sale went down from 15.8 a month before, but it came down to 7.4 compared to 2022. But average price was the highest, increased 4.1%. After that, in August, we went down again 0.3%. So then we got in September, we were 3 again, 3% increase average price. So if your value of your property is $500,000, so 3% of that is what it increased. So 3,000 each month. So you multiply with 5, that's your increase. Then in October, it went back to 3.5, but our sale went to negative, still negative. And in November, September, October, we were minus 5.8% reduction in sale, but our average price of the home was increased 3.5. In November, last month, we were minus 6% in sales, and the average price went to 0.3, less than 1%. So we're still predicting now what will happen. So based on, as of today, with this small adjustment, we have 62,603 sales. Our average price for the house is 1,132,681. So if we have 3,090 sales in 2022, let's assume that we will have 3,000 sale in December, 4,000. Let's assume that we have about, let's say, 5,000 sales. So we are about 67,000 transactions this year. And right now we are 16.6 minus compared year to year with the last year now. So that's telling you that how you're going to catch up. If in December is always slow month, holidays, and people have watched the whole trend and stress and challenges that we have, affordability, and then we will talk about that increase in our sales. And this is why it's very, very important to you to understand that, that when you are in this tough situation, your average price will go down. And this is what happened. We had less sale in November. Average price was 0.3% increase, like I said before, but housing prices have changed. So if we look at the summary, which I have shared with you, that we have now 1,129,612. So it's keep changing transactions. So it's showing 62,576. So, when we prepare the report, it's get adjusted. So right now, I am predicting there's going to be about another 5,000 maximum real estate transaction. And I am predicting it's going to be about 1,145,000 average price of a house based on the data that's available to us. So that means it is lower the average what we have. Our lower average was 1,190,000, and this has also been adjusted again, 1,190,737. Now it's been changed, and our now based on 11 months is 1,129,0112. So I am assuming it's probably going to go to 1,140,000 or 1,145,000. So that means we are about 50,000, approximately 50,000 value drop from last year based on total sale than average price, based on what we are predicting now, based on current situation. Now, why is the happening and why? As I mentioned to you, lots of people in real estate, we know that sometimes suggestions are made and people buy short-term loan borrows. So this is very critical. Some people might have borrowed private from the private lender with a high interest rate. OFC, no, sorry, FISRA. FISRA have put together very strong private lending training course that which I took also, uh, earlier this year, and they have special offer for the mortgage broker sector. Just for a disclosure, I am president and principal broker of Canada Express Mortgage Inc., a license number 13241, and is valid until March 31st, 2024. So I can talk about them. They have put together code of ethics for mortgage brokerage. Compliance is a big issue. When you are asking for money, hey, get me the money. No, no, no. There is a risk assessment. We have to know our client. We need to assess your ability to pay mortgage, because when you take the private lending or loan, you have to pay back. How are you going to pay back? And this is what happened is that lots of people who took short-term borrow money and to close a deal, which is not a bad idea based on your circumstances, but then you have to pay back that. If you can't afford mortgage, you lost the job. And this is also part of the risk assessment. Suitability. You have to disclose information to your mortgage agent or broker. So you are able to be assessed properly. You have a student loans. You may have a medical condition where you need some money, or maybe you're planning to travel, some wedding planning in the family, or student loans for the kids. There are multiple things. You have to create your budget. I always suggest everybody to create the budget, because without preparing a budget and you don't have a contingency funds, sometimes we use home equity line as a equity ability to draw money. That's a big asset. If you have created a payment structure in a way that you are paying their mortgage, and then you are created so much equity in the house that you can borrow at bad time, especially affordability challenges. But they need to be reassessed, because you may be with a lender and you may force yourself to go to B lender to renew something, and you have to really get a special assessment review and consultation with the real estate professional. I'm a fellow Real Estate Institute of Canada, and also I'm a certified real estate specialist with the Real Estate Institute of Canada. So you can call my office 905-785-9923. Ask a question. You can speak in Urdu, you can speak in Punjabi, maybe Persian a little bit, and English, of course. We can help you. There is a lots of information available to you when a RICO guide, info guide is transmitted to you. So you need to talk about it. Very important for you to understand the things, how it has changed the industry. And we have done it. I will be doing a small episode about these things to make sure that you are well educated. Now, accountability in mortgage or even real estate, the same thing. Regulated person, like I am a principal broker, I'm also a broker record for City Realty. We are responsible and to be held accountable how we conduct our business. Honesty, integrity, professionalism is a key when we conduct our business. Competency is big. If you go for if I hello, you are on Awaz Entertainment Live. May I help you?
Yes, I wanted to hear more about your affordability concept of 2024. What do you think? Where the price is going to go, up or down?
Well, we have to look into that will be coming the topic after the break. It has to do with the interest rates that's going to come back. We predict
Come
that
back from where? Where did it go?
right now, as you know, that Bank of Canada is on 5% benchmark rate, which is likely to decline in 24 to hopefully to 4.5 by December next year. That's the
So
prediction.
so it went to Bank of Canada. Now it's coming back to us.
Yes, it's predicted based on the economy, based on the inflation rate right now. We have a 3.1. So based on that, we are expecting that by June, we will have about 25 basic point reduction. That's
What is deflation, sir? Is it something to do with
inflation is 3.1%.
inflation? There's
Inflation.
no such thing. Deflation.
No, inflation.
No, but what about deflation?
I am not expert in terms of deflation. In this case, I'm only considering the information available to me based on the projection by the economists who are telling us that based on the reading of the Bank of Canada, they are planning to reduce it because if the decline inflation rate continues or maintain 3.1 and it start going lower, they will start reducing the interest rate because the benchmark rate, because they want to go to 2%, which is not likely to happen in 2024.
When will it happen?
This is the decision based on the assessment. They do reports, monthly updates. You will watch. I would suggest to you subscribe to Bank of Canada website if you are a professional or even consumers. They will give you. You can
Inflation information is based on the deflation, on the projection of the housing market and the different associations.
It's not just about the housing market. Inflation rate is based on many other factors, supply and demand. There's a lot of material. They have caught up with all the shortage of material because remember, we have a lot of imported material coming from overseas, and there was a shipping cost involved. There was delay in delivery. Production was not up to par with it. So now all production has come back to a normal condition. Therefore, as you remember that even September was 3.1, inflation went back higher and it's now come back again in December 19, 3.1. So it went to 4 plus and they came back down again. So it all depends on the cooling down the buying behavior of consumers. So it's not just about real estate, it's about every other factors.
Thank you so much. And when would be a good time for someone who's young and for buying a house for the first time right now, if they're looking at when would be the right time for them to potentially look at properties and buy?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about is that what would be the mortgage income? What is the income? What's the salary of a person? If somebody has a $70,000 income, you're looking at maybe 5% down, $287,000. That's the buying power, the purchase. Or if you're putting down a 20%, then you can buy up to $302,000 value property. And those are, you have to know that where are you buying these kind of stuff. Similarly, if you have an income 100,000, how much saving they have to put down 5%, let's say $50,000 deposit, and you are looking at about 10% deposit. You're looking at $504,000 value of a property. So you have to look and see what value of the house available for that kind of value. Can you buy a condominium? No. Based on the trap data, we just share that data with you. I can repeat again. So you may have to, you might have to go away from the big city. Right now, condominium average price in 905 is 689,654, and 416 area is 720,280. So that means you need to have a mortgage. $500,000, for example, you want to buy a house for $500,000, and your expenses included, blah, blah, blah. You know, with the stress test we have, they need 136,000 income. So what is the gross income in the family? So income going to play a big role. And for example, $1 million property, you need $260,000 income, gross income. How many people will have that? And this is all relates to what is the income, where they qualify. You may have to take them away from the big city, smaller town. There's a lot of potential there as well. I hope
Thank you so much, sir. Very helpful. Very, very helpful.
Yeah,
we
so
appreciate.
Thank you very much. Also, you can visit, you know, our show. We have a recording on our website. You can watch them. Any question, you can call my office. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Bye. So we have a questions about affordability and prediction. So these are all related to individual person. What is the gross income you have? And which I was giving an example of that. Let's assume for first-time home buyer will have a challenge. If average price of a condo unit, which is normally the first-time home buyer will start, you are talking about almost 700,000 in 905 area. It doesn't talk about 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom. But you cannot buy it. You need a more down payment. If you have a salary of 100,000 and you put down a 10% down, you can buy up to 504,000. So you cannot even buy a condominium based on that price. So let's go to half $500,000 to afford a house, and you need a 136,000 per year income. Again, $1 million purchase, $1 million, you need to have a 260,000 income or more. So it's put very in a difficult affordability issue for first-time home buyers. So I suggest to all the consumer, or especially young professional, they're entering, they might have student loans. Stay with your parents for a short period of time. Try to cut down your loans that you have, student loans, and then you save some money before you move out. Parents can give you some money, but if your parents have kids, they are going in a higher education, doctor, engineer, scientist, or engineering, whatever position, they might have obligation, liabilities toward putting the kids through education. They might not be able to give you money. And this happens to all of us. So this is very important to think about it. Don't jump. Average, a single bedroom condo apartment now in Toronto is about $2,700, $2,800 per month. 2-bedroom, over $3,000, $3,500. Even 2-bedroom in Mississauga are going for $3,200, $3,300 a month. So when you are buying this kind of property, you have to look and see how much mortgage I have to pay, condominium fee, because mostly the first-time buyer are buying the condominium because they can't afford it. Down payment is a big issue for now. So now, as I was looking at a website to look at the predictability of what's going on. So again, we are talking about this, and there was a projection forecasting. So they are predicting that our variable prime plus 2.2 is going to come. So benchmark from, they're predicting in June, we will have hopefully 4.75. And in September, maybe 4.5. And maybe in December, the same, 24. So they are saying in 25, they might go back to 4.25, go down. It all depends on how inflation is affecting the industry. See, when the industry is hot, everybody's buying. They wanted to correct the behavior. There was a shortage of supply, high demand, and that's where the inflation was up. So I think everything is stabilized now in a good direction. So they are predicting that probably in 25 it will go to about 4%, which is a benchmark rate, and obviously the variable rate, or we call prime rate, will be about 5.95. And there was a projection about 27. They might go back to 3%, and you're talking about 5%. So I can assure you that you will not gonna see less than 2%, less than 3% in the foreseeable future. There is a possibility in 27 it might go down 2.7, 2.8, 2.7, 5, or even 2.5. And that's a benchmark rate, but the prime rate will continue to stay in 27 December 4.7. So it come down. But you're talking about 27, 28, and again 28, 2.5, 2.25 prediction. And they're keeping the variable rate at par in end of 2028. They think the variable rate still will be 5. So be careful about calculating your and preparing your budget. So when I talk about inflation rate, it has a many economic factors involved, which has a consumer goods, food, supplies, and construction cost, and many things. They are manufactured and built in Canada, and many things are imported either from US or other countries. So if there is a ship, there is a handling, or what's happening, impact of war that's happening, and if something oil was coming there, remember the price went, our energy price went up. So these are all many factors that calculate the inflation. Okay, so now inflation will affect this. So what Bank of Canada did is they wanted to correct the behavior of consumers. So they don't go and stay up and spending. Our debt rate is very high for every dollar that we earn. It's very high. And this is why they wanted to control that. So now I request all of you to subscribe to Bank of Canada. Website is free. You get updated by email. So you know whether your interest rate, if you are in a variable situation, whether or you're seeking for your fixed fee or your fixed mortgage or the terms, you can plan it accordingly. I remember I have a clients, some of them we went 3 years. So hopefully by that renewal will come, at that time we'll be able to adjust that, because we didn't know how far we're going to go. And I think we got them a good deal for 3 years. So I think by that time, hopefully it will be close to what they have now. And also, most important thing is to pay down with all the expenses that we have. Remember, credibility. Your credit is very important. You don't want to be delinquent in making payment, even small payments. Your phone, your utilities, your credit cards, and any commitment, because most of these uh, uh, lenders or these consumer agency that provide equipment, they put your report if you are delinquent on their credit bureau, and you have to maintain good income to make sure you have a T4, T4A. You declare all your income and get your T4 and T4A, get your file tax return, pay taxes, get your return, notice of assessment, and use that as evidence. If you're a self-employee, you have other mechanism. Get your accountant to prepare your tax return and submit it, and you have evidence to support. Because self-employed like myself, if we're buying and selling, we have to pay 35% down, because this is the criteria the lenders are using, mostly the prime bank. So this is very important for you to make sure that you are saving money. You have to plan a contingency. So your affordability is the key. How can you afford it if you don't have any saving? You need to have a deposit. You have to make sure you have an income. Deposit and affordability is based on the criteria based on your gross family income or net income. They will apply because if you have a gross income, they have to deduct expenses, whether TDS or GDS. GDS is about 32%. TDS is 40%, which covers every expense that you have. GDS is without other thing, expenses like taxes and other things are not covered, or credit card or car payment are not covered in GDS. But TDS, everything is covered, all the liability you have. So first you have to meet the criteria TDS and GDS with your lender if you want to get a prime mortgage. When you go to B lender, you end up paying a brokerage fee. That costs you money. And also different terms and conditions. Private lending is a very sensitive, is only absolutely you have to have a choice, no choice, other choice to do it, to survive in a short period of time. There's very, very strict guidelines. I completed my course on private lending, and I do not encourage someone unless you have absolutely sure that you can pay back that amount within that period that you're agreeing. Your lawyer fees and other costs and interest rate and special brokerage fee, everything will jump. If you get 100,000, you can end up paying maybe $8,000 or $10,000 fees to get 100,000. So imagine that, how expensive this is going to be. So you save money. You go to my website, is city-pro.net. I created buying tips and selling tip and also calculator where you can play with your own budget without sharing any information, whether I qualify or not. Where can I buy it? So this is part of the realtor team. So I suggest you have a team, you have a realtor, you have a mortgage agent, you have an appraiser, you have a maintenance guy who can get an estimate for you when you see a property with the permission of the seller, and you have an inspector on your team that you want to get. So you get all the advice, and you have a lender that give you the money, and you prepare that. If you are shortage of small money, you get borrow from your family, particularly parents, and to borrow the money to buy down. But you plan this and stay within that budget and guideline. Do not go out, because if you are a salary employee and you have a fixed income, any fluctuation will hurt you. If you default on your payment, it ruins your credibility. So many factors while you will jeopardize your equity that you have built in. So affordability will depend on how much you can afford, what is your gross income, how much down payment you want to pay. Is going to be conventional 20% or more, or new home buyer less than 20%. Maybe affordability will determine where you will buy the property. Maybe you're not able to buy a property in a big city. You may choose to go away from the city because technology has transformed our business. Now, many of us are working remotely, and lots of due diligence is done remotely now. Therefore, you may be able to better off. I see many IT clients that I have, they moved away, they sold their apartment in the city, and they bought the detached home almost the same amount and big detached home, and they're living because they are working remotely. All the bank employees, all the service oriented, they are using it. So affordability has a key. Would I qualify? So before you can speak, call me. My office 905-785-9923, or my direct number 416-451-3489. I'll be more than happy to guide you to make sure you can afford it to buy it. Obviously, as you can see from here, we are flat this year in terms of your value of homes. And I take this opportunity to thank you very much for watching. May God bless you all. I wish all of you Happy New Year, and enjoy, be safe, and wish you all the best by 2024. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.